always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it.
Good morning and welcome to my class. Objective illustrates the different properties of operations on the set of integers. Closure property. Closure of addition. The sum of two integers is also an integer. Ang ibig sabihin nito, pag nag-add tayo ng dalawang integer, ang sagot ay integer pa rin. A plus B is an integer. Halimbawa, 3 plus 4 equals 7. Ang 3 at ang 4 ay integer. At ang sagot na 7 ay integer pa rin. So, A plus B is an integer. Closure of multiplication. The product of two integers is also an integer. So, ang ibig sabihin nito, kapag tayo ay nag-multiply ng dalawang integer, A times B is an integer. So, 3 times 4, ang 3 at saka 4 ay integer. Ang sagot natin na 12 ay integer. So, the product of two integers is also an integer. So, the product of 3 and 4 is 12, and 12 is an integer. Commutative property. Commutative property of addition. Changing the order of the addends does not alter the result. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Meron tayong dalawang numero. Pinagpalit natin ng pwesto. A plus B, naging B plus A. Nabaliktad ang pwesto. Kapag nabaliktad ang pwesto, nababago ba ang resulta? Tingnan natin. 3 plus 4 ay 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. Kahit na mabaliktad ang pwesto, hindi pa rin magbabago ang sagot. Commutative property of multiplication. Changing the order of the factors does not change the result. Ito ay A times B equals B times A. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Kapag tayo ay nag-multiply, yung bang sagot sa 2 times 3 ay pareho din ang sagot ng 3 times 2. Tignan natin. 3 times 4, anong sagot? 12. 4 times 3, anong sagot? 12. Binaliktad natin ang posisyon ng numero. Ang nasa kanan ay napunta sa kaliwa at ang nasa kaliwa ay napunta sa kanan. Kapag tayo ba'y nag-multiply at binaliktad natin yung numero, parehas pa rin ba ang sagot? Ang sagot ay parehas pa rin. Associative property. Associative property of addition. Changing the order of the grouping of the addends does not change the result. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Meron tayong tatlong numero. Pero sa tatlong numerong ito ay may ibang grupo. A, B at saka C. Ang magkagrupo sa una ay B plus C. Ang magkagrupo sa kabila ay A plus B. So, napuna natin na magkaiba ng grupo. Ang tanong, kapag ba iniba natin ang grupo, ay magbabago ba ang sagot? Gumamit tayo ng halimbawa. Ang halimbawa natin ay 3, 4, and 5. Ang magkagrupo dito ay 4 at 5. Sa kabila naman ay 3 at 4. Kukunin muna natin ang value ng number sa loob ng parenthesis. 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. Sa loob ng parenthesis, 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. Kapag ba binago ang grupo, nagbabago ba ang sagot? Ang sagot ay hindi. Associative property of multiplication. Changing the order of the grouping of the factors does not change the result. Ngayon, meron na naman tayong tatlong numero. Pero tayo ay nagmumultiply. Sa unang grupo, ang magkasama ay B times C. Sa pangalawa, A times B. Lagyan natin ng number 3 times the quantity of 4 times 5 close quantity equals the quantity of 3 times 4 close quantity times 5. Uunahin natin ang sagot sa loob ng parenthesis. 4 times 5 is 20, 3 times 20 is 60, 3 times 4 is 12, 12 times 5 is 60. Kapag binago ba ang grupo sa multiplication, pare-parehas ang number na inilagay, magbabago ba ang sagot? Ang sagot ay hindi. Identity property. Identity property of addition. A number plus 0 is the number itself. A plus 0 equals A. Ang ibig sabihin nito, kapag tayo ay nag-add ng 0 sa isang numero, ang sagot yung numero ding yun. So, halimbawa, 3 plus 0 equals 3, 10 plus 0 equals 10, 20 plus 0 equals 20. Dito naman sa kabila, identity property of multiplication. A number times 1 equals the number itself. Ibig sabihin, A is the number to be multiplied by 1. Ang sagot ay number na i-multiply din natin. So, example, 20 times 1 is 20. 7 times 1 is 7. 40 times 1 is 40. 1 times 1 is 1. Inverse property. May dalawa tayong inverse. Meron tayong additive inverse property at meron din tayong multiplicative inverse property. Sa additive inverse property, adding a number by its opposite, the result is 0. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? A plus negative A equals 0. Halimbawa, 3 plus negative 3 equals 0. Ang opposite ng 3 ay negative 3. Pag inad natin ang number sa opposite niya, ang sagot ay 0. Ang opposite ng 7 ay negative 7. 7 plus negative 7 equals 0. Multiplicative inverse property. Multiplying a number by its reciprocal, the result is 1. Ibig sabihin, A times 1 over A is 1. Kapag ang 3, ang reciprocal niya ay 1/3. Pag ang 3 ay minultiply natin sa 1/3, ito ay magiging 3 over 3 at ang 3 divided by 3 ay 1. Ano ang reciprocal ng 3 over 2? Ang reciprocal ng 3 over 2 ay 2 over 3. Pag minultiply natin ang 3 over 2 sa 2 over 3, ito ay magiging 6 over 6 and 6 divided by 6 is 1. Tandaan na kapag nag-multiply tayo ng number at ang kanyang reciprocal, ang sagot nito ay 1. Zero property. The product of a number and 0 is 0. A times 0 equals 0. 10 times 0 equals 0. 28 times 0 equals 0. Ang ibig sabihin, kapag tayo ay nag-multiply sa 0, ang sagot ay laging 0. Ito ay zero property. Distributive property. Adding first before multiplying or distributing the factors to each other will give the same result. Anong ibig sabihin? A times the quantity of B plus C, multiply natin. A times B is AB. A times C is AC. So, 2 2 times the quantity of 4 plus 5 equals 2 times 4 plus 2 times 5. So 4 plus 5 is 9, 2 times 9 is 18, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 plus 5 is 10, and 8 plus 10 is 18. Kapag tayo ay nag-distribute, hindi nagbabago ang sagot. Properties of operation. Commutative property of addition, A plus B equals B plus A. Commutative property of multiplication, A times B equals B times A. Associative property of addition, A plus the quantity of B plus C close quantity equals the quantity of A plus B close quantity plus C. Associative property of multiplication, A times the quantity of B times C close quantity equals the quantity of A times B close quantity times C. Additive inverse property, A plus negative A equals 0. Multiplicative inverse property, A times 1 over A equals 1. Identity property of addition, A plus 0 equals A. Identity property of multiplication, A times 1 equals A. Distributive property, A times the quantity of B plus C close quantity equals AB plus AC. Zero property of multiplication, A times 0 equals 0. We have the real-life application of properties of operation. When you look in a mirror, you see yourself. It's just like the zero property of addition. Let's say you are a number, and you look into a mirror. Add to 0, you stay the same, but you are looking at your reflection. This property is sometimes called the identity property of addition. People distribute money in the same way that a number is distributed and multiplied to other numbers. We have our post test. Write the letter of the correct answer on a sheet of paper. Number 1. What property is being illustrated in 9 times 5 equals 5 times 9? Letter A, commutative property of addition. Letter B, commutative property of multiplication. Letter C, identity property. Letter D, closure property. Number 2. What property is being illustrated in the quantity of 2 plus 3 close quantity plus 4 equals 2 plus the quantity of 3 plus 4 close quantity? Letter A, associative property of addition. Letter B, associative property of multiplication. Letter C, identity property. Letter D, closure property. Number 3. What property is being illustrated in 7 plus 0 equals 7? Letter A, identity property of addition. Letter B, inverse property. Letter C, closure property. Letter D, distributive property. Number 4. What property is being illustrated in 10 times 1 equals 10? Letter A, distributive. Letter B, inverse. Letter C, closure. Letter D, identity property of multiplication. Number 5. What property is being illustrated in 8 plus negative 8 equals 0? Letter A, closure. Letter B, commutative. Letter C, distributive. Letter D, additive inverse property. We are now ready to answer the post test. For number 1, the answer is letter B. Number 2, what is the answer? The answer is letter A. Number 3, what is the answer? The answer is letter A. Number 4, we have letter D. And for the last number, number 5, the answer is letter D. Body weight. Integers and body weight. We can be overweight, positive 10 kilogram, or we might have an eating disorder and be underweight, negative 25 kilogram. integers and savings and loans. Getting paid and savings are positive. Loans and debt are negative money amount. Physics is a mathematical, not because we know so much about the physical world, but because we know so little. It is only its mathematical properties that we can discover by Bertrand Russell. Thank you for watching.